Morning everyone. Let's see if I can find you. Again, this is a bit of a challenge to find on Facebook again. Don't be shy, say hi if you're there. 2 days on the trot. So morning Judy, morning Christine. Hi Debbie, hi Sue. So we're obviously running on Facebook, so I need to just find it. Always a challenge. Yeah, I find it quicker if I just go to home, which is really weird. I can't find it on my page. Sigh. Morning Angie. Gosh, lots of you this morning. See Judy's on Facebook. Oh, and on YouTube. Well done you. So finally, from 9 PM last night, I was able to offer you the Chalky acrylic paints. They've already been quite popular, so I'll just give you the link again. So it's there on YouTube. And morning Ronnie, morning Kim, and if I just put it on there, maybe not. On Facebook. So that's the link to where you find the products that were on Phil's shows yesterday on Create and Craft, and there's 10% discount on the items in the show. You just need to enter the discount code CHALK10 in the discount code box at checkout, and you will see which it's at checkout where you pay, and you'll see the amount that you're going to pay drop down. If you don't see it, then you've put it in the wrong place, and just have another look. So obviously that's my website, but I've given you the link already to go directly to that particular category. And I expect to be sending the orders out Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, because my stock is due in on Tuesday, but obviously it depends on when the courier gets here as to whether I can actually get it all out on time. There's a couple of them, the paints that are quite low in stock already, but we'll just see how we go, and if I can get some more then I will do, but obviously I've got to get a minimum order quantity that I order. So that's that. Also, if you missed the demo yesterday, I made these 2 projects yesterday, and I also showed you a bunch of backgrounds that I'd made with the gritty texture medium and the well, the various items in the flawless media, the chalky paints, the metallic paints, and the luster pigment powders as well. So you do go and have a look at that particular demo, and I'll just give you the link for that if I can find it. Here it is, and you can go and have a look. And obviously it's on YouTube. Good old Facebook. I've muted part of the demo yesterday because it contained apparently music that wasn't allowed in certain countries. Goodness knows what that might be. So what am I doing? Oh, I'm sharing the one we're on at the moment. Hang on a minute. Give me a second to find out where I am. Oh dear. Honestly, if I had a brain. We want this one. Let's find it. So just ignore what I've just put on YouTube. This is the link for the one yesterday. Oh dear. It's because I'm showing the same kind of things. That's why. That's the one from yesterday. Anyway. Right, so I think that's all I need to show you. So we'll kind of crack on with today's demo. Get rid of my laptop so I've got a bit more room. So just as a reminder, these are the colours from the new Chalky paints. Hi to everybody. I don't think Facebook likes me either, but you know, YouTube is the way to go. That's what I say. Yeah, so these are the paints that we launched yesterday, that Phil launched yesterday. So we've got 15 colours, and you can see, because they're opaque, because of the chalky content, you can see them on black card as well as the super smooth kind of off-white card. So they work on all surfaces, so you can put them on acetate, you can put them on MDF, obviously grey board, but most importantly you can use them on your cardstock. Yes, the sun's out here too, Pam. So yeah, so those are the colours, and currently I've got all 15 in stock, but like I say, no, Ed's not in the room singing. I don't know where he is. He's probably downstairs expecting me to feed him yet again, because every time I go into the kitchen he thinks it's feeding time. Right, so those are the colours, and there's also the gritty medium. Like I say, I showed you a lot with that yesterday. But what we're going to do today is create a masterboard. So a masterboard is basically, you're going to create a background that's so much bigger than what you need. So this is an A4 piece of the super smooth watercolour card from Sentimentally Yours. It is, in my opinion, it is the best super smooth card. Because it's super smooth, it's perfect for stamping on, but it does take a lot of water as well. It's just an absolutely wonderful cardstock. So let's create this masterboard. So what we need first of all is, I'm going to use my paint mat, my Indigo Blue paint mat that I was using yesterday. I also want my brayer as well. And the masterboard I've created, that we're actually going to create our projects on, is in shades of sort of pinks and purples, and there's a bit of there's peach in there as well. But I thought we'd actually do this one in a different colour. So we're going to be using, in the paints, we're going to be using the purple, so we're going to be using African Violet, the Pretty Periwinkle, and we're going to go for teal. So we're going for Minty Fresh and Ocean Teal from the paints, just for something different to look at. So we're going to start off with the lighter colours. So the lightest colours are the Minty Fresh and the Periwinkle. So I'm just going to show you on here, and then I'm going to move it to one side because I can't work with it all in front of me. So we're going to just grab a spatula, and we're going to pop this unruly sheet. You don't buy it, you make one, Pam. I'm going to create a masterboard. You just need a piece of the super smooth card. That's what you need. It's just called a masterboard because you're going to create projects from it, and it all will be clear. Don't worry, don't panic. So we're just going to pop a bit of paint, not much, onto our mat here. Let's put a lid on. And I'm going to just get my brayer, and I'm just going to run it, very squeaky, sorry about this, just going to run it over here, and you can see there's very little, it's very squeaky, and this is the Sentimentally Yours 4-inch brayer. So I'm going to move it to one side, and all we're going to do is get some colour down. So we're going to try and change this in colour. Now I'm not going for an even coverage. This doesn't squeak as much when I'm not live. I'm not going for an even coverage. I'm just picking up a tiny bit of paint, going the opposite way onto my piece of card. I I want it blotchy. I don't want it to be perfect. See, although I haven't used very much, I've got a really good coverage on there. I'm happy with that. No, it's not. You're not silly, Pam. It's absolutely fine. So now we get rid of that paint because we're finished with that one now. Clean that off. The Indigo Blue paint mat, yeah, you get from Indigo Blue. But like I say, the masterboard is something you're going to create. It's Anchor Biscuit. It's driving me nuts the way it curls up. It's my fault for not storing it flat. Let's just clean this off the brayer as well. And don't forget, I must do a video as well with it. You can use these paints on your jelly plates as well. So then that opens up a whole new set of techniques that you can do. Right, so that's clean there. So we're going to do exactly the same with the Minty Fresh. I'm going to do this off the camera. So that, look at that colour. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. Where's my spatula? I had to try and remember what it was called, actually. It's fine. It's not. There's no silly questions. There's just different questions. Every day is a learning day. Oh. These pots are so full. They really are. Put that in there, and then we do the same thing with our squeaky brayer, and then you'll be glad to know that we're finished with the brayer for now. And we're going to add some of the Minty Fresh over the top. You do get a bit of a texture actually, which is quite nice. And the paint will layer on top of itself on the other colours because it dries so quickly, and we're only putting a very fine layer down. We're just basically changing the colour of the card so that we've not got white to work onto. It's a nice texture actually. It'd be nice just to emboss it. Actually, just run it through an embossing folder and then you could sand it back. I didn't watch Phil's second show yesterday. Did he manage 2 demos in the 8 o'clock show? Because it didn't quite. It was a bit ambitious, wasn't it? Trying to do 2 when he's got so much to talk about. That's all right, Janice. It doesn't matter. You haven't missed much. All I've done is I've taken a tiny bit of the paint. First of all, in Ocean Teal. No, is it Ocean Teal? No, first of all in the periwinkle, the pretty periwinkle, and then I've added some of the Minty Fresh on top. So I'm just cleaning my brayer so that the paint doesn't dry on it. My squeaky brayer. Okay. Obviously you can use the 6. Hi Bev. You can use the 6-inch brayer as well. It doesn't have to be the 4-inch. So now we've got a perfectly dry background to work on. You can see you have got a really nice texture to it. So you could just use that as a background if you want to, but obviously we're not going to. So we're going to add some stencils to it. This is the grid one from Mr. M, and so we're going to now go on to the should we go darker or not? Yeah, let's go darker. We go on to the African Violet. And we're going to just pop a little bit of that. I don't know why I keep looking for my spatula because I keep on leaving it in my bucket. I was a bit tired after yesterday's demo, I must admit. So this will probably be another 2-hour one. But, you know, it's there. You can watch. When you get your paints, you can watch it back. And if you're not already a subscriber of my YouTube channel, I know we keep banging on about this, but YouTube is where Phil and I are going to do more demos, and there are a number of demos on my YouTube channel that haven't been on Facebook. So they're there for you to watch whenever you want to. So if you're not already a subscriber, it'd be great if you did, and you need to like and comment on a post, otherwise YouTube might think you're spam. That's what happens when you get loads of them. So I want to just use a piece of kitchen sponge. You can see it's one of those scrubby ones. So you just take one, dead cheap, and cut them into bits. And I'm going to pick, you can water this down if you want to. In fact, let's just do that just a tad, because it's highly pigmented. Just pick it up onto my sponge. And we're just going to go through. Not really needing it to be perfect, just in certain areas. Let's see, let's have one in the middle-ish. So I tend to initially think about 5 different areas. Don't think of this as a complete background that has to be balanced, because you're going to use it for different projects and different shaped projects. Goes a long way. You could even do this stencil on the wonk if you wanted to. For me, some of it's a bit wonky. And where the sponge touches the edge of the stencil, you get a little bit of more intensity, and it's just, what stamp? Catherine, can you tell me what stamp you're actually asking about, please? All the stamps I've used. I mean, this is a stencil. This is Sentimentally Your stencil. I think it's called Grid or Grid Up or something like that. Is that what you're asking me? Right. So that's that. Obviously, the sponge just goes into water. Now, is paint. So you do want to clean off your stencil. There's not a lot of paint on there, to be fair. But acrylic paint, because this is a multi-surface paint, once it's dry on your stencil, it's there, you know, and you don't want that to happen. So now we're going to go to this one. I think this one's called Rose Blooms or something like that. Again, it's another one of Phil's stencils. Just clean that up. And now we go to the darker colour of the kind of blues that we're using. So we go to Ocean Teal. So we're going to again put a little bit of that onto my craft sheet. Maybe a bit more than we did before, because this is a bigger stencil. Okay, I've got a bit of leakage. Don't want to waste any of that. And let's grab another piece of sponge. And we're going to do, again, we're going to go through the stencil, but this time I'm just going to go with the paint in the raw. I'm not going to water it down at all. So let's just go in with a couple of the roses. Maybe do 3 in a bunch. Don't worry if you're going outside it and you get a bit of the next one. It doesn't really matter. I have some. Don't turn it over, Julia. That would be daft. You don't have to use the same ones. You can go for different ones. Don't worry if it's a bit lighter in some places. On there, I might go off the page in a minute. So let's Try not to dip it. Let's have this one. I mean, all the roses are kind of point in different directions, so there is no kind of up and, I mean, you can decide if you've got an up and a down to your background or your masterboard, but there doesn't have to be. You could use your natural sponge, like I did yesterday, to kind of stipple through. I wouldn't necessarily use a stippling brush because you're going to stamp over the top of this and you don't want it to be too raised. It will be raised a little bit on the edges where you catch the edge of the stencil. I put far too much paint in here. Gives me thinking I'd use more. We won't waste it, don't worry. On snagging the edges of the, I wouldn't necessarily use cut and dry foam to do this, especially with this stencil, because it catches on the edges and you end up tearing the actual foam part from the felt part, if that makes sense. Let's have a bit just in the middle here. And I will show you a picture when we finish. I will show you a picture of what the one we're going to be working on looks like in the colours we're going to be using. I just thought it'd be nice to do some different colours. Let's go off the page a little bit with perhaps a little one. There's a little one here. Yes, you do have, actually. Jean's saying, I thought a masterboard was what you had in your gas boiler. You do have like masterboards in, I'm sure you have them in computers as well. So it's just different, isn't it? You just, there's no right or wrong. That's what they call it in craft though as well. A little rose here as well, just so we're going off of the page a little bit. Okay, so that's my rose. Let's give this stencil a bit of a clean. In fact, let's just move this to one side. Give this a mist with water. Oh, where's my towel? Oh. Not waste this, and I don't want to waste that paint that's there either. So yesterday, what have I done with them? Anyhow, yesterday I was dipping splat all the wasted paint. I was doing a dip background, so we didn't lose any. So what we can do is take a stencil brush. And we cannot waste this paint that's on the stencil. And we can make ourselves another background. Obviously this is more of a watercolour background. Pick up some of that. We're not wasting it. Leonie would be proud. Oh, it is a motherboard in computers. You're absolutely right. Yes. Absolutely right. I know the word board was featured. So there we go. Obviously it's a little bit runny because it's a little bit wet, but we've got a muted background there going on. And we haven't wasted that paint. To dry. Let's clean this properly. I've still got a bit of paint there that I don't want to waste. See, Jean's on form today, isn't she? Jean's saying, Caroline's saying, I thought it was a motherboard boarding computers, and Jean's saying, don't bring genetics into it. That's very quick and very smart, that, Jean. I'm very impressed. Right, so that's that one. So what we could do is, because we've got a little bit of paint left, let's see. Let's water it down quite a bit. This is going off-piste quite a bit. And let's take the mesh. I don't think I've got any of these left in stock, but it doesn't really matter because we'll have it. Let's bring a bit of the mesh in. I might regret this because this is quite wet. In fact, I'm not going to stipple it. I'm going to pick it up on a bit of foam, which I've just dropped. There it is. This would be lighter. Very subtle. Obviously, it's the same colour. You see, it's just very subtle in the background. It saves wasting it. I think that's one of the things about a masterboard. You can change your flow at any point just to fit in, and nobody knows whether that's what you intended in the first place or not. How are we doing? A little bit down here, just because I've got a bit more paint left. I don't think I want to go anymore. No, let's not go anymore. That'll do for now. Let's just clear this up. A few sponges to clean out. Obviously, you clean your sponges out. I've just got them in water, and you can reuse them. Obviously, if the acrylic paint dries on them, then that's it. They go hard. Let's not waste that extra bit of paint there. I must have a piece that can take a little bit of paint. Being very frugal with my paint. I'm going to make some tags out of those at some point. Right, okay. So that's all the stencil work and the paint work all done. Okay. So now we're going to actually do a little bit of stamping. Now you could stamp with the paints. You absolutely can do that. You can pop a little bit of paint onto a piece of cut and dry foam, perhaps mist it with a tiny bit of water because obviously it's quite thick, and then you can use that piece of cut and dry foam as an ink pad. But I'm not going to do that because I want it to be flatter, so I'm going to bring some inks in instead of using paint. But like I say, you absolutely can do. Do make sure that you wash your stamps straight away after you finish your stamping, and a little nail brush is really good for getting out of all the little nooks and crannies. So where's my stamps that I'm going to be using? I'm going to be using some Distress Archivals because they dry quicker than Versify and Claire. But I will explain to you some interesting facts about it as we go on. So I've got all 6 of the Distress Archival sets here. Let's just open them up. So the bottom row, Hickory Smoke, Vintage Photo, Ground Espresso and Black Search, they're all from set 3. Let's start at step 1 then. Set 1, Spice Marmalade, Barn Door, Picked Raspberry and Fossilised Amber. And then set 2, Mermaid Lagoon, Peel Paint, Faded Jeans, Dusty Concord. And then the 3 I've just said first, that's set 3. So that's set 1, that's set 2, that's set 3. Then we've got set 4, which is the newer ones: Kitchen Flamingo, Wild Honey, Evergreen Bear, Speckled Egg, Salvage Patina, Crushed Olive, Crackling Campfire. There, set 5, and set 6 is Rustic Wilderness, Prize Ribbon, Frayed Burlap, and Fired Brick. So 4, 5, and 6. And I do have these in stock on my website at the moment, and these I can get hold of, although that one is very, very low in stock, and I'm going to try and get some in. So just click on the email when available button and you'll get notified. So it's the Distress Colours, but in the archival ink, which are that fast drying ink. So we're going to go for, I think, first of all, we're going to go for Salvage Patina, which is in set 5. And we're going to be using the Notebook Botanicals Notebook Textures, because this is one of my favourite sets ever. You will find, and I found, that if you've got VersaFine Clair still on your stamp, that the archival will remove it, and you'll get kind of different sort of colours than you actually intended to get. I think I've got a tag here somewhere which proves that. Where is it? Let's see if I can find it. There we go. So this tag I posted last weekend, it's got one of Tracy Evans' All and Create stamps on it. I think it's 516, and you can see here that I've stamped some of the circles, and there's black ink in there, so it should be that colour, but it's that colour. But I don't mind it, actually. I don't mind that it's a different colour, but just bear that in mind, that if you've got a dirty stamp, that the archival will touch the colour off. So let's grab, I like using the long blocks for this. So you can see that the archival will actually stain your stamp, but obviously it's still going to work. It's an archival ink, so it's friendly to your stamps. It's not going to damage your stamps. So let's get a few of these stamped. This is a new ink pad. These 3, the 4, 5 and 6 I've got out this morning, so they're brand new ink pads. Let's just see what that's going to look like first before we actually go on the board. Yeah, that's what I want. Nice and quite light. Salvage Patina isn't a dark colour, so I do want that. So let's get some of these on here. So I'm trying to do a Facebook Live every Sunday, and I'm calling it Sunday Stamping, or Stamping Sunday, whichever. And the last 2 weeks I've done Fairy Hugs. Obviously this week is Sentimentally Yours. I don't know what I'll do next week, but I'm trying to do it every Sunday at 11 AM, just really focusing on stamping. So I hope you can join me. Just not really thinking, but actually working within the areas that I've got. So I'm not thinking of it as a complete piece, and I'm going over the edges of where I'm going over the edges of my stencil work, and it does stamp out. I mean, you can't really see it because it's a similar colour, but it does go over the edge. And you're just making it so that the whole thing gels together within each area. So let's perhaps have one up here. And you can always go back afterwards, even when you've done this kind of group of stamping, and you've put some other stamping on top, different colours and different designs, and you can always go back and add extra bits and pieces to it. Let's have another one here. I did want one here. There's no translucent paints yet, Pam, in Phil's range. It's chalky paints that are the ones that are out at the moment. I think I moved that one a little bit, but that's fine. I think it slipped on the paint. Doesn't matter, it's a background. Let's have this one over the grid area. Quite like that way that's building up there. And do go off the page as well. Look at that. Because you are actually going to use virtually all of your masterboard. I have got pieces of what I had left with my other one, but goodness knows what I've done with that one. I'll see if I can find it in a bit. So again, off the page here. I think this is going to be my most used stamp set, this Textures from the Notebook Botanicals. I like my nail varnish, it's cool, isn't it? Lots of people go for shiny nail varnish, me I like matte. Let's just do a couple off the page, top and bottom, and then we move on to another stamp. That's what happens when you go through the stencil, you do find you get some on your fingers. Don't neglect your edges, because if you think about wrapping paper, it doesn't just come to a complete and utter stop, does it? It actually goes off the edge. So I think that's what we want with that one. Happy with that. Yeah, Indigo Blue is translucent paints, Pam. I have a few left, but not many, I think. And they are my favourite, although I really like these chalky paints, I must admit. I didn't think I'd like them as much as I do. Very impressed with them. So if you watched yesterday's video, I did some watercolouring with it, and that was very effective. So what we're going for now, let's go for this this kind of splatty one. I'm trying to stick with the stamps that I used on the board that we're going to make the projects from, just so that you can see what I've used. Obviously we're doing different colours, but I'm trying to use the same thing. I didn't use the mesh stencil though yesterday, because when I did the original masterboard, because I wasn't mopping up paint. Right, so with this one, let's go for, I don't know if I want Villainous Potion or Dusty Concord. Let's have a look, let's see which one we want. So this is Villainous Potion, which is quite a dark purple, and that's from the same set as the Salvage Patina. That's from set 5, and this is Dusty Concord. Actually, I do want Villainous Potion. Dusty Concord is more of a grape kind of colour. I mean, they're not exact matches to Distress, but they're in the same kind of tone. So Villainous Potion, we're going to do these kind of splats. You can see I did some purples yesterday, or the day before when I was doing it. You're going to have a go at this, Angie, are you? You don't have to chop it up, Caroline, if you don't want to, but remember, it's a background. It's meant to be in the background. The process of making it is very relaxing and very, very enjoyable, I think. Backgrounds are what I like the most, actually. I am going to go around the edges a little bit to begin with, I think. So this one won't be exactly the same anyway. You'll never stamp, and don't kind of give yourself the restraints of, if you've done one, you want to copy one exactly, so you have the other one right next to you and you copy it exactly. Don't restrain yourself like that. Just enjoy the process, and you know, just go with it. I'm not overthinking it, I'm just going with it. So let's have another one here. Overlapping my stamping. I do love this stamp set. I might have said that about 5 times already. So useful. I do have a few left in stock. I'm sure Phil has them too. Let's go through the process. And we'll add some in the centres as well. I'm just making sure that I've got a bit of interest on the edges first. In fact, let's do a bit of a double splat around this edge here. This is a great little stamp if you want to do like snow, if you're doing a winter project. Let's have a little bit more on this side. Okay, so that's a bit of interest around the edges, and then we'll start adding some within the board itself. Remember, overlapping. It's all about the layers and looking within your project. And some of this you will find that when you actually cut it up and you want to add extra elements on, some of it you will find you will absolutely go over the top of, and you'll think, oh, I don't really want to go over the top of that. But you have to get over that, and you have to kind of remember that it's a background and how, you know, you add the enjoyment of creating it. Let's go the other way. Have you got this one, Caroline? It is a fabulous stamp set. So I'm thinking about my areas now and making sure that each area has got some of these splats in them. So I think we've got something in each area, and you've got some kind of, I call it white space, but obviously it isn't. But you need some white space in there as well, so you're not so stressed, and it just it breaks up a little bit. So I think that's enough with the splats. Let's just clean this off. Like I say, don't stress too much about your stamps. The stamps will get stained by archival. Photopolymer stamps do that, so just don't worry. Other stamp we're going to use from this. I don't tend to mix straight lines and circles, but if that's your bag, you absolutely can do that. The other one I'm going to use is this one. I'm going to use that one. So I'm only using 3 stamps. So I'm going to kind of, you could go overboard and you can do as many as you want, but I'm only going to use 3. So I've actually used 3 stencils, and I'm going to use 3 stamps. And we need to figure out what colour we're going to do with this. I think I'm going to do this one lighter. I think we're going to go for speckled egg with this one. So speckled egg is that kind of grey blue colour, and this is in set 4 with Kitsch Flamingo, Wild Honey and Evergreen Bough. You might not see this very much. It'll be a bit like the mesh stencil in that it'll be quite light. So you can just about see it. It's here. But again, it's something that is there. You can obviously do it darker if you want to, but you've got to be very careful that you don't make something dominant when you don't want it to be dominant. So it shows up a little bit more because it's a lighter area. And you can have a couple in some of the areas if you want to. So we can have one coming down here. don't worry if you smudge any of this. Like I say, archival dries really quickly anyway, but it'll all add to it. It won't make any difference. You know, some of the stencil work is a little bit dodgy with the rosy stencil, but it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. We can pretty this up, don't worry. The projects that we do will be quite nice, I think. Let's have one up there. It's not a quick thing to do, but then you shouldn't really be in a rush when you're enjoying yourself. When I was watching Phil yesterday, I say I only watched the 5 o'clock show, but I thought to myself, we get much better demonstrations when he's on YouTube and Facebook, because he can go through everything and really teach you, whereas there's so much other stuff that needs to go on in the TV that I don't think you actually learn very much, because there's just so little demo time really, which is such a shame. But obviously, you know, they've got to sell stuff, haven't they? Let's put that one down there. Nearly there on this. I think actually I'm going to put one up in the corner of this one, just off of the page. I might do that down in this corner. Not that I'm trying to make it even, but just if I am actually going to use it, because you will find that you can just use the little areas for doing things like your reinforcers on your tags. So you will use a heck of a lot of it. Let's put one in there. And we'll do one more. And I think we're done. I think I'm happy. Yes, you can use Distress Oxide, but Distress Oxide will take a lot longer to dry, and you will find, and I'll explain it to you, that even though archivals are very fast drying ink, when you come to stamp and emboss, it still picks up some of the embossing powder because of the fact that it's on top of paint. So inks on top of paint do actually react a little bit differently. Just be careful, try it and see, and if you're happy with the result, I would definitely go for archivals rather than distress in this situation. But you absolutely you can, but it's just my preference, you know. I'm lucky I can just go down to my storeroom and think, right, I want to use archivals. I haven't got any of those, I'll just pull some of those out. Obviously, I've still paid for it, but and they look lovely in the tin. I'm a bit of a tin fanatic. Right, so that's our masterboard complete. So it's ready now to actually stamp on. Yeah, so I'm just reading your comments. Okay, so this is the one I've created, and this is just to remind you, with the paints we used, first of all I used the Pretty Periwinkle and the Minty Fresh just sprayed on in the background separately, and then for the paints I've used African Violet through the wired stencil, and then I used the Ocean Teal through the rose stencil. And then I've got a little bit of the mop up with the mesh stencil in there as well. But I've used those 4 colours. Now in the masterboard we're actually going to be working with, because obviously I've done some die cutting, we've got this colour scheme. So again, it's just different colours, but just looks fabulous. And this is the I use a little bit of the rose tinted in the background, which is that very pale pink, and again I use the periwinkle, So those are the ones that were braided over. I used the same African Violet through the wired stencil, and I used the Pacific Coral through the rose stencil, and then I've again stamped over with some archival inks there as well. So that's the one we're going to actually be working on, but obviously this one looks just as fabulous, whatever colour scheme you want to actually use. Okay, so let's actually make our projects. Now I have gone ahead, so in fact let's just keep that in there in a minute. I have gone ahead and I've already made a tag. So I've actually got 4 projects out of the one A4 piece masterboard. This is all dry now, by the way, and you can see that the archival went on top of the paint nicely. Okay, so this is your Notebook Botanicals. This is, I think it's Serenity. It's either Serenity or Tranquility. Tranquility it is. And obviously I've just stamped it and then cut it out with the tag, and I've added some extra of the African Violet paint just around the edges afterwards. So that's one of the projects that came out of my masterboard like that. I've also gone ahead and done some die cutting. So I've also cut out the largest one of a double debossed DL die, so that came out of there. Let's see if I can get this in the right order. And I've also cut out a rectangle as well, a double debossed rectangle, so you can see that's got some stamping on top of it already. And I've also got a little square that I managed to get out just about, and I've got a little tiny tag, and I've got a bigger tag out of it as well. So those are all the things I managed to cut out of my masterboard, and there's a tiny bit left over which I don't know what I did with. I was going to show you it. Oh, there it is. This is the only waste I've got from my A4 piece, so I'm quite proud of that actually, that I'm going to get all these projects. In fact, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects out of the one piece of A4 card. So let's crack on and let's actually get something made. Let's put these back so they're in the right place. I'm not sure how long we're going to go on for because we're already nearly an hour, but I will do my very best to show you as much as I can. We might not do all the stamping. Obviously I've already made that one, so I'm not going to make that one again. But you can see what I've done with that. Okay. So we'll start with this one. So this one, like I say, I've already cut out my double deboss rectangle here, and I've stamped. This is the Floral Curios corsage collage, which is my favourite, and I've stamped and embossed that. Now if I hold this up here, can you see in there? I don't know if you can with my lovely fingernails. Look at the circles within the petal. Can you see that there's a little bit of embossing powder stuck on there? Now that is archival. An archival you shouldn't be able to emboss on, and in fact you can see here as well some embossing powder here, so let's see if I can get that so you can see that. Can I get that? I'm not as good at this as they are on TV, I must admit. There we go, you can just about see that it's got embossing powder on it as well. So you shouldn't be able to emboss with archival, and this wasn't cut out or stamped and embossed straight away. So it should have been bone dry, but it's because it's on top of paint. So just bear that in mind, that say if I wanted to actually watercolour on top of this, then I would get some resistance from the paint and the embossed lines on the archival there. So just bear that in mind. So I thought that was quite interesting that that happened. And then we've got the next size double deboss rectangle here out of black card, and that's going to go onto a cut down A5 card like that. And you can actually leave it like that if you want to, but I've actually stamped it a second time, and I was going to pop it on here like so. And you could colour it in if you want to, or you could leave it. I did do colouring in yesterday, so I don't really want to do it today. I think what we'll do is we'll come back to this in a minute. I've got one of the pieces of grey board, which is going to go here along the edge there like that. And then I was going to stamp a sentiment as well, and that one would be pretty much complete, unless we want to put some hearts on here, which we might want to put a couple of grey board hearts perhaps up there as well. So that's the idea with that one. So because that one will take a little bit longer, I'm going to come back to that one. You can see where I'm going, and if we've got time I'll do it. We'll watercolour. If I haven't, then I won't. So we go to our tall slim card, and we'll actually do this one. So this is the obviously the largest size of the double deboss DL, and this is the next one down. So this is the one we're going to work on. I've got all my little bits and pieces in here. So we've got some grey board that needs painting. So this is from the one that's my favourite, that's got all the frames in it, which you'll find on Phil's website. It comes from this one, which is the same one as the border that's going to be on the cut down A5 card. You're all right, are you? So yes, so it's this frame here, and I've also got a frame from the frames grey board set, which has lots and lots of frames on it, which is this one. And so there's an inner frame and an outer frame, and then there's this panel here that you can stamp on. But what if you don't want to actually stamp on grey board? You don't have to. So I've got a piece here of the super smooth card, and you can just take a pencil, if I can find my pencil. Oh, I drive myself nuts. Just take a pencil, and this is the smaller one. So if you draw around, the smaller one, and they will move, so just be careful because they're quite thin. Just draw around it like so, and then just cut ever so slightly on the inside of the line. So I've got one that I've cut out here, just ever so slightly on the inside of the line, so we can actually stamp our sentiment onto this one. So let's grab a sentiment. I'll grab one from the Tray Chic Essential Sentiments. And I do like putting the birthday ones in, because, as I say, when it goes to my charity, they like the birthday ones. So let's just go for the happy birthday. Where's my block? Where's my favourite block? There it is. And we're going to go for a Nocturne Archival. And I can just, because this is just going onto card, I don't need to worry about it not drying, because it's on card rather than on paint. If if I was doing it onto painted grey board like this one, I would actually emboss it as well. In fact, is that the one that goes in there? I think it might. No, it's not. No, it's not. And let's just stamp our happy birthday. Give it a chance to settle in. And then our frame will then fit around it once that one goes on as well. Okay, so we need to paint those. Leave that to dry. Wait, where's this? It's very quiet here at the moment. Hopefully Facebook won't think that I'm playing music then. Right, so paints. So the question is, what colour should we actually do? I think we will go for the purple again. It seems to be my go-to colour. But we do the smaller one in a different colour. We do this one in the Pacific Coral. And then we'll do the darker purple, the African Violet, for the frame. So we want a bigger one. So these are going to be in the African Violet. Get myself a brush. It's almost tip of blushes. There they are, in the pot. Don't actually want a big one. Yeah, YouTube is a little bit behind Facebook, but I think the quality on YouTube myself is actually better. So it's only a few, 30 seconds or something behind. Right, so let's figure out. That's going to go with that one. This one's going with this one. Okay, so we do what Phil does, and we'll just stipple it on, just because it's quicker. So once again, this is the African Violet, and I'm going onto my craft sheet because then if there's any left over, I can actually mist it with water and pick it up onto a spare piece of card, and nothing's wasted. You can, and I do tend to actually paint around the edges, but obviously I'm not going to do that now because it will take too long. Okay, let's move that out of the way a little bit, and we'll force it dry, because you can actually force it dry, no problem. It does dry very quickly, but I'm impatient. Mr. M has been using his fingers. What to put the paint on, has he? Debbie, have a look on my website. I did have some stencil brushes on my website. In fact, these ones are raw Langnickel. If I haven't, I'll see if I can get some. I'll check after I've finished. I meant to check before, but I got up late this morning, so you can see that it's gone that lovely chalky colour. So I'm just going to add another layer. Do it in the same, because I like it to be nice and dark. Just because I can't be bothered to gesso. Some of the lighter colours you will need to do it a couple of times. Some of the darker colours you don't. I'll tell you what we'll do with this one as well. We'll make it a little bit more special in a sec. good. And move that out of the way again. I'm moving it out of the way so that that paint doesn't dry, because then I can mop it up. You can see that's already starting to dry again there. By forcing it dry doesn't mean I put it to one side, it means that I'm not going to get paint on something else as well. Right, so that's they. It will bend slightly when you force it dry, but then it settles down because it's actually like a compressed paper product. So it's absolutely fine to leave it to settle. Let's have a look. What have we got here? That can have some purple on it. I like those as they are. What's that? That's a little bit. Bear with. Don't want to waste that. It's far too good. Lots of splats. Let's add a bit to this one as well. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Fabulous. And there is still some more there that I could have mopped up. Don't waste it. Oh, you found it. Well done, Jennifer. Thank you. Right, let's get this. I can't even say Pacific. I want to say specific instead of Pacific colour. Let's get some of that on this one. Lovely pale peach colour. It's actually quite a strong peach colour. You've got the other one, which is the gentle peach, which is the lightest. And you can actually use the gentle peach, the rose tinted, or the Pacific coral. You could use these as skin tones. Remember that you can water them down so that they're quite light. They don't have to be as intense as you see in the pot. Let's give another little bit on there. It doesn't take long. You don't have, obviously you don't have to force them dry. You can just leave them to dry. They will dry really quickly. You don't use very much at all. I think this might be quite nice with this one. This is the pumpkin. Lovely. Look at that. It's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. I've got another piece there that's like that. Love it. Absolutely love it. All I've got to do is find the time to get round to using it. Right, so let's just add a little bit to these here to make it look slightly different. because you can use your metallic paints with your chalky paints. Let's see which ones we want to use. Actually, let's go for a bit of copper on top. I think that might be quite nice. I don't want to use the big one. Yeah, Pam's saying on Facebook that she's not so good at putting colours together, but you really can't go wrong with these. All the colours are beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. You can't really go wrong with them. So this is the metallic paint. This is the copper. And I'm just randomly adding a bit on top, because I think that the copper will kind of tone in nicely with the Pacific Coral. That's all I'm going to do. So that's metallic, that's your copper metallic paint. And I'm going to leave that to dry naturally. I don't want to pick any of this up actually, so we're going to just clean that off. And I did do this kind of thing. I mean, you can actually, if you put the metallic paint on quite thick, when you heat it, it starts to bubble up, which is quite an interesting thing to do. I did do on one of my Fairy Hugs projects that I posted yesterday. I did put a clock on here, and I don't know if you can just see the metallic there. So that's the pumpkin with a bit of the copper on top. On there, so it works really well to add a little bit of metallic on top of your chalk. So you should see the two different finishes then, which is quite a nice thing to have. Right, so let's have a look where we're going. Oh, I should get some of that paint out. I think what I want to do is actually take my sponge, dropped it on the floor sponge. This is a natural sponge, and it's not hard because I used it yesterday, but they do go so quite hard, and you need to pop them into some water, squeeze all the moisture out, kind of manipulate them a little bit until they're nice and flexible. And they make a really good piece for you to paint with. So taking that purple, which I forgot that I wanted to use, so I get a bit like Phil, you forget what you're doing, you get a bit giddy and you think, oh, I needed that. My spatula. Hi Hazel. So let's just pop a little bit on here. I did do some background work with the sponge yesterday, so I might think about what else I want to put this on before I clean it out. So we can just go around the edges with our sponge, just to add a little bit more of a definition around the edge. So it's instead of putting your distress ink around the edge. And that's exactly what I did with my tag, which has disappeared. Oh, there it is. That's exactly what I did with that there. In fact, I'm going to go with this as well. I'll put some around the edge of this one while we're at it. Might break some more paint out. Don't be worried about using your paint and thinking, oh, that's a bit wasteful, because it's going to last you a long time. It really is. So the worst, I mean, they're only £3.99 a pot at full retail. So, you know, it's not, for the amount you're going to use it, it's not that expensive. And the worst, I think the worst value for money is when you don't use something. You absolutely need to use it. This is going to be my new thing. It's very nice, actually, when you use it with metallics on top. We could do that as well, actually. I feel a 3-hour video coming on here. It just kind of frames it, doesn't it? But it's not really intense. It's just quite light. So what else have we got that we might want to frame? We've got these as well, haven't we? And we've got another tag as well. So this one, actually, I'm going to just be a bit more specific around the edge, because they're smaller pieces. It's starting to dry a bit. I think that's fine as it is. Oops, sorry, knocking the camera again. You know what I'm like. I've done up the camera at least once in every demo. And we've got this tag as well. I think that's a fantastic tag. Just as it is. I'm going to stamp a sentiment on it, but just as it is. Don't think about it having to be perfect. If you overthink it, that's when it starts to look rubbish. Okay, so that's all my sponge work. I think that's all done. Yes. Obviously I could have picked that up, but I hadn't. Okay, that's that. So what we could do also is take our, I've got another sponge, I've probably got another sponge somewhere, so I don't have to use the same one. Because different sponges are going to give you different textures as well. This one's very hard. Very hard. I've got a bag somewhere of them, but I don't know what I've done with it. Let's give that a chance to lighten up. So on the DL one, the one that we're actually focusing on, let's add a little bit of the copper around the edge as well, because that's actually a really nice thing to do. To add a little bit of the metallic, and then that will tie in with the frame that we've got. That's probably far too much. We might end up doing another one. In fact, let's not do that much. Let's put some of it back. Let's see how this sponge is going. Oh. That's all right, Ronnie. You can always catch the rest of it later on. I know on a Sunday it's difficult, isn't it? Because some of you are doing Sunday lunch. So that's nice and pliable now. Actually, I'm going to just tear that bit off so that I can use that area there. And we're going on the DL one. So if you were to do yourself a background, you know, you could do that kind of thing, but you know, obviously more of it. So we're just going to add a little bit of the copper just around the edge. Because we can. I don't know if you can see that, it's not quite dry yet, but I can see it. Right, it's only a little detail, but there we go. So that's that. Let's tidy this up. Right, let's pick some of that up onto this one. Let's see. Oh, that's a bit wet still. Let's pick it up onto this one. Don't want to waste it. What else have we got? Get some right old layers going on here. Okay. Right, let's see if we can construct something. No, it would be really good, wouldn't it? Let's put those to one side. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to go that way up. Let's pop this onto here. And the images that I've chosen to go on here, I'm not going to actually colour in. I'm going to leave them blank, uncoloured, because sometimes that's nice, they kind of pop. Obviously, it's up to you. If you didn't want it like that, you can absolutely colour them in. I might have, I am a bit dubious about it, so I might have coloured them in before, but I didn't have time today, so I didn't. Let's see if we can get that straight. Okay, so as soon as you put it on black card, it pops. How's Ed? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. He broke a blind yesterday. Came down and there was a bit of the blind hanging off. Oh dear, I don't know why he did it. Must have been a spider or something. So let's have that underneath there just to flatten. And we'll put our frames together. Where's my sentiment? There it is. So let's add a little bit of the glue to the back of this one. Yeah, we've got Jean saying she always forgets about DL cards. Don't forget, we've got all those wonderful DL dies from Phil. We've got the double deboss, the inverted corner double deboss. We've got the stitch torn DL, and we've got the elegant eyelet DL as well. So we've got some fabulous dies from Mr. M. Let's pop that on there. Like so. And then we'll pop the other one round in a minute. In fact, we'll pop it on now. Should fit. There we go. Like so. And then, where's my, I'll put it underneath there now. Right, so we're going to put, I think, a little bit of 1mm foam tape, if I can find it. Yeah. Sometimes you end up having, Jean says sometimes she forgets what she has. Sometimes I think when you've got so many things, you end up having to put some things away, and if they're away, then you don't grab them. I know that's my problem. I need to, when I move, I need to make sure that everything's more accessible. It's a bit of a joke really, isn't it? I don't know if moving's a joke or things being more accessible. It seems to be taking forever. Sigh. Oh, I've answered your question, Chrissy. It's just, I don't know why. The hold up is with my buyers, and I don't know whether it's with their buyers or just with them. I'm trying to get information out of the solicitor. He's just right. I think it's that way up. So this is going to go on here. And then we're going to pop this on here. In fact, I was going to put, actually going to put this behind as well. The trellis. I think I'm going to leave the trellis plain again, because you don't have to paint everything if you don't want to. So just put some glue around the edge there and decide which way you want the trellis. I think I might go that way. Give that chance to grab. So this is going to go down here, and I've got, where's my bits? Here's my bits. We're going to have, from the Notebook Botanicals paraphernalia, we're going to have a pen up there, and we're going to have a pen facing down here as well. All of Trudy's fashion stamps look good on DL. Yes, they absolutely do. Don't forget, you can take your big backgrounds and cut those down onto DL. That's going to go there. I did meant to do something else in the background and forgot. Oh well. Maybe we do it on one of the others. You're covering up my flowers. Yeah, well, it's fine. It's a background, Chrissy. Don't stress. You have to think about it as a background rather than as a focal point. And it's all about the movement of it going underneath your image. So we're going to have one up there, one up there. We're going to have a little hand pointing to happy birthday, like that. I've got a couple of tickets. Let's see if this is all set now. Give this a trim. See if I can do it as neatly as Mr. M did. This is the trellis die, which is one of the products that was on Phil's show yesterday, and it has the 10% discount on my website. Remember, I put the link at the beginning of the lives, so you'll find it there. You could, of course, do like I did with the sentiment, and you could draw around the inside, or you know, you don't want to draw around the outside of the frame, the oval bit, and then cut it. This is actually a bit more accurate. Quite a few of the design team have put the trellis behind the frames. It does work very well. There we go. It's not quite neat enough there. Looks fab, doesn't it? So this is going to go up here, about there. Yes, I know I'm covering up my flowers. It's fine. Can put it down a bit. So we've got some flowers coming at the top. It's fine. I need some more glue around the edge. I do like these frames. Ugh, got a bit of sticking out at the side. It's going to bug me. Okay, so that's going to go about there. Make sure my oval's even. I didn't bother putting any extra glue on the trellis. Let's get this down. Come on, glue. Morning, Judy. I thought you were on before. Happy birthday's going to go there. I need to put a little bit of foam tape underneath here. Hopefully that's enough. A bit more glue. I think it's 2mm grey board. So we'll soon find out, won't we? Yep, that works. Happy birthday. And we're going to have a couple of tickets. We have those coming out of the rows here, like so. And then in the centre of the frame, to cover up my flowers, we're going to bring in a butterfly. We're going to pop that onto tape as well. Just on the wings. This foam tape's got back that's on it that's super sticky. See, they're a bit, I think it's from old stock, this one. Most of them will come off really easy, but these are the stuff that cling to you, which drives me nuts. Get off. Get off. That's going to go in the centre, like so. So there we go. There's our DL card, or Tall Slim card. A bit of metallic on the grey board. So that's one project. So that goes with the tag. So that's with the tag. That's number 2. So let's go back to this one. I was going to leave this till last, but I've decided I'm going to do it now. So let's get a sentiment on here. So because this has got paint on it, what I'm going to do is, oh, let's just bang everything, knock everything over. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a dust with an anti-static bag, and I am going to emboss the sentiment on here as well. Oh, we need to paint those hearts as well. Let's just paint the hearts. Look at what else needs painting as well. I've got some other bits that need painting, so let's just finish doing all the painting first. Then it'll all be dry and it'll just be a case of sticking it together. So I've got some fleur-de-lis and that. Let's just do them all in the African violet, because then that's quicker and they're all done. This is one of the ones from that oval frame, the one with the butterflies on it. Very delicate. I know Paola showed this one yesterday. So fine. Sometimes you will find that you might rip some of them when they come out. Where's the other two hearts? I was going to put two hearts on the that one. Oh, there they are, hiding from me. How rude. There we go. Yeah, you might find you rip them when you get them out, but you know, you can glue them back together, or if they are so fine that you can't do that, you won't really notice. You just tuck them under a flower or something. They are very, very fine, some of them. So the fleur-de-lis are from the one with the clocks. The hearts are, I believe, from the swirly frame. Yeah, the hearts, these hearts are from the swirly frame. There is a more of what do they call it? Folk art heart. So kind of taller, thin hearts. Those, there are some of those as well, which is on another one of the grey board sets. But have a look at Honeypot Crafts for your grey board, because I haven't got the grey board. Trying to get a good coverage. This is because I'm stippling this is getting a bit of texture on the hearts, which is quite nice. So let's force that dry. We might get away with just the one coat on that. It's amazing how much lighter it is once it's dry. Obviously, if you want to pick up your paint, move the grey board away from the paint, and then you'll be able to pick it up. I've done lots of that. Okay, that'll be fine. Let's get that in there. Move that to one side. That's just so beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? So delicate. Over there. That's all those bits. Let's just tidy up and then we can do some more constructing. If you've just come in, don't judge me about wasting that paint, because I have been mopping up all my paint. But I'm very aware of the time we're taking at the moment and how much I'm keeping you from your normal Sunday activities. Right, so where are we at? Where's my card gone? Oh, there it is. Right. So we're going to stamp a sentiment in here. I've just dusted with my anti-static bag. So obviously, all I did was again dusted with an anti-static bag, and I popped the Floral Curios Corsage Collage, and I've stamped and embossed that. But we're going to put a sentiment just down here. So I think I'll go to my smudged sentiments and see if we can pop one of those in here. Let's just, we can just about fit that kind of horizontal happy birthday in. And I have added these to the, although they weren't on Phil's show yesterday, I have added them to the section on my website that's got the 10% discount, because it was part of the Floral Curios collection. And the Floral Curios, I'm not sure if you use them because I didn't watch the 8 PM show, but they are part of that. I do love these smudge sentiments. I think they're one of my favourite. That and the tray sheet sentiments that he had on the shows yesterday as well. They're so usable because they're quite, some of them are quite small, so they fit in virtually everywhere. Right, so that's that. So let's just emboss that with some clear embossing powder. Just because it's going on paint, it will dry quicker if I emboss it. And I would suggest, if you're actually stamping and then die cutting, that you do emboss, because the ink takes a lot longer to dry on paint. You'll find that you'll dirty your plates unless you put a piece of paper in between the card and your plate. So that's another thing you can do. But you know, if you do that, when you peel the paper away, you do see how much ink wasn't dry. But this is kind of a bit of an insurance policy here. In fact, I've got a bit more embossing powder there on the archival, and it's still not 100% dry. It's still attracting the embossing powder. Right, so we've already gone around the edges on that. So we want our... I have got one from yesterday. I did show in the live yesterday how you can watercolour with the Chalky acrylic paints. So this is the one that I coloured in. I did the whole thing yesterday on my live. So you can watch that. I mean, so I could actually cut this out and put this one on top, although it's got slightly different colours. I haven't decided yet. I'm not going to make you watch me. I haven't decided yet whether to colour that in or not, or just leave it like that. So what I'm going to do for now is just leave it like that, and then I'll decide whether to colour it in at some point, I think. Because it'll take me 20 minutes to colour it in, probably. I'm sure you get the drift, and like I say, you can watch yesterday's video on how to watercolour in and how effective it is with the chalky paints. I don't want to repeat myself too much across the 2 days demos. What have I done? I put glue in the middle, and you can see I've actually gutted this. I don't often do that, but because I was prepping all the demos at the same time, I thought I would. So we've got glue there now. What's Pam saying? What can I do with it? It came that way. Some powders, when they pack them, they put in so much that some of them do end up clumpy. You just need to give them a really good shake, or even if that doesn't work, because the tubs are so full, if that doesn't work, tip it all out onto a piece of paper and then pop it all back in again, and it should get rid of the clumps. It shouldn't be a problem, really. Let's just pop that underneath there, and we'll start working on another one while we're waiting for that to dry. So this is just a little tag, and I've got the reinforcer that I've cut out of the card as well, which is going to go there. In fact, it's going to go here. So this is the Studio Light tag. It's actually called Oriental tags, this die set. Studio Light don't tend to do a rerun on their dies when they're out of stock, so unfortunately they're quite hard to get hold of, but I absolutely love these tags and I use them a lot, so apologies. So let's stamp onto this one. So this is going to be like a little mini bookmark. Get rid of this, tidy that up. Tidy off my smudge sentiments. So I'm going to actually use a fairy hug stamp on here because it fits with the book theme. And this one's called Between Pages, and it says between the pages of a book is a lovely place to be. So I think that's just a perfect sentiment to have. And of course you will find fairy hugs on my website because I am the only UK stockist of fairy hugs. And I've pretty much got the entire catalogue from day one in stock. But obviously immediate dispatch because they're in stock. So let's just anchor that at the top and at the bottom. And we are going to emboss this because it's going in a book. And I don't want to run the risk of the ink going on a book. So, sentiment. Just about fits. Just about fits in there. I don't normally do tags this tiny, but, you know, trying to get as many projects out of my masterboard as possible. I wanted to give you as many ideas as possible. So we're stamping on top of the paint, on top of, you know, my stencil paint. We're also stamping on top of archival. And I probably will find that when I emboss it, that some of the, even though I've anti-staticked, that some of the embossing powder does stick to where it shouldn't, but it doesn't really matter too much because I'm not colouring in or anything. Is everybody all right still? It's a perfect sentiment. Jean's saying it's lovely to make bookmarks with. It absolutely is. It's there's also the relax sentiment as well, which is also part of the book release, and so that makes really good. See that virtually the whole thing is covered with embossing powder, even if you flick it. But like I say, it doesn't really matter. But that's to do with the paint, so just bear that in mind, that because the archival's sat on paint, it still attracts the, but it's really weird the way it still attracts the embossing powder. But like I say, if you don't, then it does take quite a long time to dry. Yeah, Kathleen's saying about Ed singing in another room. It was really funny, actually. I think it was one of the days last week. I heard this sort of noise downstairs. That's me doing the cat. And I thought, what's that noise? And I thought it was a cat howling outside. But I haven't got my windows open now. So, you know, it obviously wasn't. I went down and had a look, and there was a fluffy tabby cat just on the patio, peering around, looking at Ed, who was at the patio door, because Ed's a house cat now. And so he was howling at this cat because it was on his patio, and the cat didn't really know what to do because he must have heard him through the patio door. It was really funny. there's no way I was letting him out because he's a house cat now. So shouldn't have had so many fights. It is his own fault. So there we go. There's our little tiny tag. So I'm going to pop that underneath to flatten as well, and then we can put some baker's twine through it, and then that'll make a really nice tag. What do you want to find, Pam, from my website? Yeah, Pam, I've got all of the Fairy Hug stamps in stock, so you'll find this on my website. Just go into the brand section and click on Fairy Hugs, or just search for Between Pages, that's what it's called, and you'll find it. Okay, so that's going underneath there. So we'll come back to this one now because this is flat. And let's pop this onto our card blank. And again, we'll go for our 1mm foam tape. We get in there, we get in there. It's just one to do after this. And it should be relatively quick. So I hope you've got some ideas of what you can do. Have I got baker's twine? No, that seems to have been discontinued from Creative Expressions, so haven't been able to get any for a while. I know Phil's perhaps looking into it, so you might get some at some point. Studio Light tags. No, I haven't got any Studio Light tags, I'm afraid. Like I said, Studio Light don't tend to do reruns. All the stock that I did get sold out virtually immediately, and I couldn't get any more. So I suppose you just have to Google it and see if you can find them somewhere. I just like them. I just think they're brilliant because you've got your mats and layers, and you've got your 2 different sizes of your reinforcers as well to go with the different size tags. You get 6 different size tags out of them. So that's already, I think, really nice as it is. But we're just going to add our grey board to it. So like I did with the first one, if you wanted to, you could add some metallic to it. You could add some of the Pacific Coral to it as well to give you a different look. Because of time, I'm just going to stick with it as it is. And Judy's saying they're not available anymore. I don't know. I mean, they were so successful. I think I did the tags on TV around about October last year, and they were just incredibly popular. There were 4 different shapes, and the Oriental's my favourite. Stand it up, Julia. Let's just get rid of some of the excess glue. And then pop this down the side. I did snip a tiny bit off the border, so it is actually a little bit longer than this. The glue does grab really quickly with the grey board. And then we're going to put, I need a heart for, are they the same size yet? I need a heart for there as well. And this, we're going to have the 2 hearts here, like so. Got a little tiny bit of texture to it. I might leave this one uncoloured. But you've got options, haven't you? I mean, you can see all the design in there. There was actually a really nice sample by Angela, I think it was, here. And so you can see that she's actually used one of Trudy's, I think it's one of the dotty backgrounds from Trudy's collection in the background. You could use a stencil as well. And then she's just stamped over, so you could do that, or you could just choose to colour in just the odd flower. You don't have to colour all of them in, like Alison or David, whichever one made this one, has just coloured in the rose. on that one, but obviously that's a different sort of background, so you don't have to colour in the whole thing if you don't want to. Obviously if you want it, if you're a glitter person, you can add glitter to it, but we're just going to add our 2 hearts here at that side there, like so. So there we go. And obviously in the inside you could put one of the verses from the verse collection. So that's another project finished. That's number 3. Number 4 is our tag, which is nice and flat now. So that's that done. Let's just do this last one. So for this last one, we've got a square. Remember, we've edged this with the sponge as well, and we've got a little tag which I'm going to put a sentiment on. I have got another little reinforcer, but I'm probably not going to pop that on, because I'm going to actually put, so I don't have to use twine or anything, I'm going to actually put the heart there over the hole, so it'll hide that. I've also got another butterfly. This is from the Wonderful Wings, from the Notebook Botanicals. We've got a stitch torn square, which that's going to go on like so. So I'm going to stick that in a minute. And I've also got a double debossed square that I've used the Heart Lattice embossing folder on. And I'm going to actually brayer over that with the paint. So what we need to do with this one is, I'm going to colour that in. Again, I'm not going to colour that in, I don't think. I think I'm going to leave that one coloured. We've got all our grey board bits already painted, and I think we go Pacific Coral on this. Let's just glue these together so that they are already stuck together nicely. Oh, let's just show you one thing actually. Just to show you something else that you can do, because I've got to get some paint out anyway. So this is like an old key card. Out the way. Let's get my paint mat out again. So we're going to use the brayer. The squeaky brayer, of course. And we're going to use the, I said Pacific Coral, didn't I? Let's use the Pacific Coral. And I might use the sponge around the edge as well of it. Don't need that. So let's add. Yeah, Jean, you're not allowed to do that, I'm afraid. You'll be on the naughty step. So we're going to put some Pacific Coral onto my paint mat. And then I'm just dipping the card into the paint, and you can actually do some stamping with the paint. Like so. And this is not one of my ideas. This is lovely Kay from Indigo Blue. She's been doing this for years. But it just adds a little bit to it. Obviously you won't be able to stamp over that because it's got a little bit of dimension to it. But it's just something else you can do. You can also do the same thing with bottle tops as well. No, you shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't really do that. I'm not going to condone that at all. So yeah, don't do that, people. You're not allowed to. It's not okay if you don't actually sell it. It's not. So we're picking up some of the Pacific Coral onto my brayer, onto my very squeaky brayer, and we're just going to lightly run it over our embossing folder. so it picks up those hearts. Do it very lightly and then you won't go into the crevices at all. Squeak, 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 squeak. So it's so loud. It's so loud. It does dry quite quickly on the dryer actually. And if paint dries on the paint mat, it will still wash off under the tap. Your gesso won't come off. That's the only thing that won't come off, but the paint does. So there we are. There's our braid background with our chalky paint. Obviously you can do exactly the same thing with the metallic paints as well. I'm just cleaning my brayer. You don't want paint to stay on your brayer. I know Leonie doesn't bother, but my brayer's dirty enough as it is without having paint stuck to it. And as I was saying earlier, don't forget that you can use these paints on your gel plate as well. Yeah, it does. Lots of things need a bit of oil. I need a bit of oil as well. So let's get our sponge out just to finish this off nicely. Let's clean it up. So remember, natural sponges, we were discussing where you can get them from yesterday. I mean, I got them from, I think it was The Works years and years and years ago. I had a bag of them. There was about 5, I think, or 10, I don't know. But like £1.99 or stuff like that. So they're probably about 20 quid now with the rising prices and stuff. So let's use our lovely purple. This is your African violet. I'm still looking for my spatula that's in the bucket. You'd think after 2 hours I'd have remembered where I put it, wouldn't you? I mean, I've used a fair bit of this one, but to be fair, I've used this particular colour on everything I've done. All the demos yesterday, my masterboard that I did for this, and the masterboard that we've done, the new one today. So, you know, I've used it an awful lot. So we're just going to add a little bit of the purple around the edge. Pounce, 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 pounce. There we go. Let's not waste that. Let's add to, oh, we can add to this one, this long piece. Right. Nearly there. Just need to stamp a sentiment and glue together, and then we're done. So we're going to put a sentiment on here, and once again we're going on top of stuff, so I'm going to try and stamp and emboss. Let's get rid of my between pages. Getting quite hungry now. 1 o'clock's my lunch time. I don't think Nathan's up yet, otherwise he'd be in here telling me to go and have lunch. He does that. Right, so where's my anti-static bag? There it is. Now I need to figure out whether I've got anything that's going to fit into that. Because it's really tiny. I think I can actually get in one of these small ones. I think I can get a good look. Yeah, I can just about get a good look on there, and also well done, that would fit. Let's just pop it like that. See if I can anchor that. don't know why I'm doing it in here. I could just do it freehand. So we're going to do this again with our black, because the black stands out really nicely. Remember, if you want to add any highlights to your masterboard in black, I would suggest that you use archival rather than your VersaFines. Okay, so there's our good look. Let's just pop a bit of embossing powder on it. See, that's dry now, virtually. Just a little bit on the peaks there. That's dried quite quickly, considering it's quite deep. Embossing powder, what have I done with it? There it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've had lots of fun. I do like doing things like this. I know I've not done any colouring in, but like I say, you can watch yesterday's video to see how to colour in with the paints. The paints are very, very versatile. I'm super impressed. I'm not overly a painty person, to be honest. I love my watercolour blending brush pens, and I use those to death. But I do really like these paints. Very, very impressed with them. As you'd expect from Mr. M, really, you wouldn't expect anything else. So when you emboss it, the black becomes more intense. It's a brighter black than when you just stamp it. So it's definitely worth doing. Right, so that's going to go on my tag. What did I do then? I don't know what I did then. Press something accidentally. Right, so I'm not going to put, like I say, I'm not going to put my reinforcer on this one, because I'm going to put my heart on instead, so I don't have to have a piece of twine on. Post people on strike next week. I don't think so next week. I think it's the 13th, the next day, because they've just had 2 days. So I don't think so next week. There's a lot of strikes that they're doing, isn't there? Right, so let's get this on here as well. So this would go on to probably a 7x7 card. I've only done a front for this one. I think it's about 6 inches. The stitch torn square, the big black one's about 6 inches square. So either a 6.5 by 6.5 or a 7x7 it would go on. Press under there just for a second with that, and then just check that this is, I'm just going to give that a little bit of blast. Oh, my chair's over my embossing tool. There we go. So we've got a little bit just on that bump there, it's a little bit wet still. To smudge it. It's quite difficult to not colour everything in, but sometimes too much colour can be a bit jarring, so you have to kind of step back, which is my excuse for not colouring in today. You have to step back and just think, will it look better with it not being coloured in, and it might. Right, so that's going to go under there for a second. And we're going to again put this onto some 1mm if I can find one. If not, I'll grab one. Let's grab one. I don't know what I've pressed. I pressed something. I've got half a screen of something here in front of me instead of a full screen, and it's bugging me. So, a bit of foam tape. And obviously, because I've gone onto my super smooth card, I've got I've used super smooth card for my bottom layer as well. It's a bit of a waste really, but it's the best fit. Although the alabaster white's a very good match actually, if you want to use regular cardstock rather than your super smooth. Reminds me of playing cards, this background. A little bit. Okay, so that's under there. And then we're going to go for, where is it stuck? Come here. And this is going to go in the middle. And this is going to go here. So we're going to go foam tape for this as well. On here. Doesn't matter that it's gone over the hole a bit because we're going to put the heart on there as well. Thank you, Angie. Angie's ordered from my website, so that's fab. As long as you order from me and Phil, we'll be very happy. I think that's middle-ish. And then that one's going to go there. Then we're going to bring in our grey board. Remember, all this is painted with the African violet, but you could do a duotone and add in some of the Pacific coral as well if you wanted to, or you could bring in some metallics as well. It's super fine. This is going to go sideways on. Like so. Then we're going to have our heart on the tag. You could put the heart there if you wanted to, but I think we're going to break that up with that uncoloured in butterfly. That's going to hide the hole there, like that. And then we've got a scrolly bit from that wonderful frame grey board. I just treat them like die cuts, so I just dob off the excess like I do with a die cut. we're going to have a couple of fleur-de-lis. That will hide that splodge there. And we'll have another one just there. And then bring in our butterfly. And I'm just going to put that on flat, I think. From the wonderful wings. And I'm just going to have it coming off the frame just a little bit, so it gives a little bit of movement. And there we go. Obviously you can dress it up with some pearls if you want to. So so that's our project. So just to recap what I've done, we've created a masterboard. I'm on the computers now. Oh, feed me. So we've created a masterboard from the paints with the stencils, and we've used some of the new or the sets 4 and what do we use? We use sets 4 and 5 from the new archival sets, and did some stamping with the textures stamp from the Notebook Botanicals set. So that's our masterboard, and then obviously with a different colour scheme. So my masterboard looked like that. Why is that not showing there? Oh, I don't know what's going live. Hold on a minute. Are you there? I don't know what's going on here. I'm trying to show you my masterboard and it's not showing. Have you lost me? Preview. I want to be live. Oh, there we are. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's doing. Anyway, that was my masterboard. So from mine that I did. So showing you the projects we've done. So obviously ahead of time I did the tag, and then I've done a DL card as well. We've got a shortened, it's about a 5x7 card there. Got a little tiny tag that's just got the Fairy Hugs stamp on it, and then finally we've got the square card as well. So all these projects from one A4 masterboard. So hopefully that's been a bit of inspiration for you, and you can watch it back at any point. Don't forget that you can get all the products at the moment on my website for shipping to UK addresses, and if you enter the code CHALK10 in the discount code box at checkout, then you can get yourself a 10% discount on the items that were on Phil's show yesterday. You just go into the As Seen on TV section and click on it, and then it's Phil Martin on Create and Craft on the 1st of August, not 1st of August, 1st of October. And that discount is applicable till midnight on Tuesday night or while stocks last. If there's any thing that's out of stock, just click on the email when available button, and when I get it back in stock, then you'll get notified. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back hopefully next Sunday with Stamping Sunday or Sunday Stamping, whichever way round I've called it, and you'll be able to watch me do some stamping then. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and thanks again for watching.